Okay, so have you ever like hit send on an email and been like, oops, wrong person? I think we've all been there, right? It reminds us that everyone makes mistakes, even those big-time entrepreneurs, you
Yeah.
know? And that's what makes today's deep dive so interesting. We're looking at this Entrepreneur Magazine article,
Ah.
and in it, Mark Cuban, yeah, that Mark Cuban gets real about the dumbest things entrepreneurs
You
do.
always know you're going to get some straight talk from Q.
Oh, yeah, he holds nothing back. So we're going to break down 3 of his biggest warnings, and I think these apply whether you're running a company or just like trying to navigate life, you know?
What I like about Cuban is he just cuts through all the BS. Like, he says what we're all thinking but don't want to admit.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so first up, Cuban says one of the biggest mistakes is not knowing the difference between a product and a feature. Seems kind of simple, but he uses this example of selling blue shirts to explain it.
Yeah, and it's such a good example because it's so simple. He's like, imagine you're selling these blue shirts and you're thinking, okay, what if I had red shirts too? Like, more options equals more sales, right?
Yeah.
But that's where people go wrong.
It's not always about more stuff,
It's
right?
right, well-
It has to be the right stuff.
Exactly. If people don't want red shirts, adding them to your store isn't going to magically make people want them.
So true. We've all done that thing where we buy something because it has all these extra features,
Yeah.
and then we never even use them.
Oh, for sure. Cuban calls that feature blindness. And it's easy to fall into that trap. We get so excited about a thing, you know, all the cool stuff it could do, that we forget to ask if it solves a real problem.
Right. Like, does anyone actually need this? Or is it just a shiny object?
And that's the key.
It's like thinking those extra cup holders in a minivan are going to change your life, but then you realize you only ever have 2 kids in the car anyway.
Yeah.
So Cuban's advice here is basically be brutally honest about what you're offering. Figure out what actually solves a need versus what's just a distraction.
So I've talked about building the right thing, right? Like making sure it actually solves a problem people have. But what about when you start seeing other people offering similar solutions?
Competition.
Exactly. You'd think that would be a good sign, right? Like, hey, this validates our idea. Other people think it's a good idea too. But Cuban, he kind of throws a curveball here. He sees it a little differently.
Yeah, he's not celebrating when he sees competitors popping up. He sees it more as a challenge, you know?
Kick in the pants.
Totally. It's like a giant wake-up call. It's less, yay, everyone loves this idea, and more like, okay, now we really got to bring it to stand out.
So he's not saying run away from competition.
No, not at all. It's more like use it as motivation.
Okay, I like that. Use it as fuel to get better.
Right. Think of it this way. Let's say you open up this cute little bakery, and everyone loves your sourdough bread, right? But then a Starbucks moves in across the street.
Oh, no.
Suddenly, those cute little sprinkles you put on your cupcakes
Yeah, they aren't going to cut it.
and your hand-drawn loyalty cards, they just don't seem as special.
You got to step up your game.
Exactly. You might need to partner with a local coffee roaster or something. You have to find a way to differentiate yourself.
I love that analogy. So it's a good reminder that in business and really in life, you can't just coast. You got to keep innovating, keep thinking about how to be better than the competition. All right, so you're building a great product, it solves a real problem, and you're ready to take on the competition. What's next?
Well, you got to build a team.
Of course. And this is where Cuban throws us another curveball. He talks about this idea of the star employee.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we've all been there, right? You're interviewing people, and you just really want to find that one amazing person who's going to come in and just, like, fix everything.
It's tempting to think that way.
Totally. But Cuban says, be careful. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, even if that basket is a superstar.
Right, because what happens if that one person leaves? Or, you know, what if they get burned out?
It's like putting too much pressure on one person, you know? And we do this in our personal lives, too.
Totally, like relying on one friend for everything or expecting our partners to be everything to us.
Exactly. So why is it a bad idea to rely too much on one employee, even if they are amazing?
Because no matter how good someone is, they can't do everything themselves. Cuban's point is that you need a strong team, a group of people with different strengths who can all work together.
Okay, so it's about the team, not just the individual.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like a basketball team, right?
Yeah.
You need different players with different skills.
Yeah, like having one star player might win you a few games, but it's not going to win you a championship. You need the whole team to be strong.
I like that.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up with Cuban's advice today.
Yeah.
Number 1, make sure you're solving a real problem. Number 2, don't be afraid of competition. Use it as motivation. And number 3, build a strong team.
Because teamwork makes the dream work, right?
That's right. So for our listeners, Think about what we talked about today. Where in your life are you maybe confusing a feature for a product?
That's something we can all think about.
And be sure to check out that full article from Entrepreneur Magazine if you want to dive even deeper into Cuban's advice. Until next time, keep diving deep.